between Martina Navratilova, the top seed and defending champion, against Chris Lloyd, the number 2 seed. We shall be back, of course, tomorrow, and we shall be in grandstand, and that begins on BBC1 at 1 o'clock. From Wimbledon, from all of us, good night.
Just to mention that for those of you with hearing difficulties, CFAX will be providing live subtitles for both the men's and the women's singles finals. Tonight, Women of Our Century looks. Lene Caldecott interviews the remarkable Naomi Mitchison, farmer, feminist and mother to an African tribe, above all, writer.
I see myself as a storyteller.
A compulsive storyteller, indeed.
Yes.
Wyndham Lewis painted you. You sat for him quite often.
Yes.
Do you recognise yourself in his paintings of you?
Well, not entirely. I usually looked rather cross because he did make me use professional hours. That's 50 minutes sitting and being shouted at if one moved an eyelash. We were always arguing, and he would put forward some impossible sort of right-wing proposition. But instead of taking it seriously, I would say, "Oh, come off it. You know you're just being an old tease." And then we'd end by just laughing.
Women of Our Century with Naomi Mitchison is tonight at 9:25 on BBC2. Well, in 5 minutes, Alistair Cook's America takes us back to the optimistic years of the 1920s. First, at 7:40, a news summary on BBC2 with Olivia O'Leary.
Good evening. Friday's headlines. The Nigerians are holding a British Caledonian jumbo jet after Britain rescued a leading opponent of the regime. Dr. Umaru Diko was freed from a crate at Stansted Airport last night. He'd been kidnapped and drugged. Among 17 people detained by police are reported to be 2 Israeli mercenaries. Mortgage rates look certain to go up soon after the big banks raised their interest rates from 9.25% to 10%. And the Coal Board and miners' leaders have had another 5 hours talks today and are to meet again on Monday. Now these and other stories with subtitles. The Nigerian authorities have detained a British Caledonian airliner at Lagos Airport. It was held after police in London foiled a kidnap attempt on a former Nigerian politician. Umaru Diko was found drugged in a packing case bound for Nigeria at Stansted Airport in Essex. The Home Secretary has said that 17 people are now being questioned by the police. It's reported that among them are 2 Israeli mercenaries who were also found in crates at Stansted. A Nigerian official in London has said Dr. Diko is wanted for questioning about corruption. But he said the Nigerian government had absolutely nothing to do with the kidnap attempt. The British government has protested strongly about the detention of the airliner in Lagos. The passengers on the British Caledonian flight have now been allowed to leave the airport area, but it's still not known when the Nigerian authorities will allow them to fly to London. The building societies say dearer mortgages look likely following today's rise in interest rates. The big 4 high street banks put up their base lending rates from 9.25% to 10%. The 2 sides in the coal dispute have had another meeting and they'll have more talks on Monday. The NUM is thought to be considering detailed proposals put forward by the Coal Board. An attempt to withhold funds for policing the miners' picket lines has been temporarily blocked. The High Court granted a temporary injunction against the South Yorkshire Police Committee. There will be a full hearing next week on the committee's refusal to pay for police operations. 9 police officers and 4 miners have been injured in clashes in the Selby coalfield. Selby town centre was brought to a standstill as 3,000 striking miners blocked major roads. ITV has decided to abandon its coverage of the Olympic Games in Los Angeles this summer. Management failed to agree about manning levels with the technicians' union, the ACTT. Tennis, the men's singles final at Wimbledon, will be between John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors. And in Newsnight tonight, an exclusive interview with a man who says he knew of the Nigerian kidnap plot a week before it actually took place. Also, the latest news from the British community in Lagos and a look at the reasons for this desperate bid to force Nigerian exiles back to their country. With the Coal Board and the miners negotiating in earnest at last, we investigate the sort of compromise that could be hammered out at the talks to end the strike. And a special report on the pressures facing Asian youngsters in Britain today, pressures that can lead them to reject arranged marriages and even abandon their traditional family life altogether. That's Newsnight a little earlier tonight at 10:30 on BBC2. And now, a look at the weather.
Tomorrow will be another very warm, sunny day in most places, with temperatures in southern England reaching 28 degrees centigrade, 82 Fahrenheit inland. But it will be cooler on the coasts. Patchy cloud is still likely near coasts of eastern England, and it will become cloudier in central Scotland and parts of Cumbria. Western Scotland and Northern Ireland will have a good deal of cloud and some rain at times, which will edge slowly east during the day. In Scotland, temperatures will reach 18 to 20 degrees centigrade, but it will be cooler in the north and west. And that's the weather. In Gardener's World in 50 minutes, you can enjoy the delights of two very special rose gardens. Jeff Hamilton and David Austin invite you to look at some unusual varieties from both the past and present. And that's after Alistair Cook continues his personal journey through the history of America.